This is my reaction video to the Ravens' crazy, boring, frantic, hectic, down to the wire 10-9 win over the Broncos. I kind of couldn't even believe that I was typing 10-9. It doesn't even feel like a score that you should type, given the type of talent that we have on this team and how a lot of us thought we were going to be able to beat the Broncos. First of all, it's good to hear or read, I guess, on social media that Lamar sounds like he's just day to day. It sounds like we got lucky on a number of injuries, or fortunate with guys that went out during the game and then apparently seem to be okay overall and aren't, seriously hurt. Weirdest win in a season of weird losses, and it's real. I forget who it was on Twitter. Forgive me if you're listening in. Someone mentioned that it's very similar to 2021, right around the same part of the season. I agree. To be 8-4 now, it really feels like I think we were 8-3 going to Pittsburgh and then going to the Browns in consecutive weeks. Of course, Lamar did play in the Steelers game, and then did not play in that Browns game, or got hurt in that Browns game. Excuse me. So just so eerily similar, even though the timing and the record doesn't fit perfectly. Kind of hard to believe that we won this game, especially after blowing the Jags game last week on the road, and then the Jags got blown out by the Lions today. Crazy. We won a game where the offense stunk, and we turned the ball over twice. How does that work? Okay. How do you win a game where the offense stinks, can't get anything generated, and then you turn the ball over twice? I think we lost the turnover battle 0-2 or 2-0. Multiple guys gutted it out on the positive side, meaning Queen, of course, he went out of the game. Hamilton, likely, they fought through it. They came back. I thought our young guys made plays. I thought our young guys really made plays and showed the benefit of having some younger guys on the field in certain situations, because they're more able to return from maybe not injury, but adverse situations. Huntley, nothing flashy at all. The relationship, the first thing before the gameplay, the relationship that him and Lamar have is incredible. Obviously, if you're a Ravens fan and you're listening, and you're probably a hardcore Ravens fan, and I know that Lamar is the reason why Huntley's here, first of all. Second of all, Huntley, apparently one of the things he said in the post-game press conference, one of the first things he said was that he was planning on going to Lamar's house to visit him. Not like, I'll speak to him, I'll text him, which, it's 2022, and technology being the way it is, that will be very easy to do. He's going to go to his house. I don't know how close they live together or close they live, from each other, but pretty cool, if you ask me, the relationship they have. On Huntley's play, we're so blessed and fortunate to have someone like him as a backup quarterback. Every team doesn't get one of those. Apparently, he completed his last 13 passes and was 8 of 8 on that game-winning drive. Look, the Broncos are not a good team. They're not. But every game they've played this year apparently has been decided by one score or less. Now, we still, even if we replayed this game next week as Ravens fans, we're going to expect the Ravens to beat the Broncos by 10-plus points. That's just what we expect. That's the type of talent that we think we have. Other people listening to this, they may not agree, or even some Ravens fans may not agree. That's fine. But certainly we didn't play well offensively at all. Think of it this way, though. And we're certainly frustrated. A lot of us are, myself included. Imagine being a Broncos fan. You got like $50 million plus tied up into a 34-year-old quarterback for the next 2 or maybe 3 years, and you're not winning games, like, at all. You're going to hear me flipping some papers, to be honest with you. I've got some notes here before I get to some of the gameplay. Defense allowed us to hang around. Roquan Smith played hard. Queen played hard. I thought Houston was there for some pressures. I think Oweh's sack was a result of a Houston pressure off the right side that kind of flushed Wilson out to the right. I thought Humphrey's defensive holding call was terrible, or DPI maybe, but I thought it was a hold called awful. Generally, I thought we played better coverage on the back end, but we still gave up 2 or 3 big pass plays, nearly a third or a fourth, when their receiver Washington beat Ardarius Washington badly, but the ball was overthrown, and Chuck Clark was there. I think it was Chuck Clark was there. That play that I'm referring to was a tactical mistake by the Broncos. It was late in the game. I think 5.5 minutes left, and on a 2nd and 7, and then I think a 3rd and 7, or maybe 2nd and 8, 3rd and 8, they threw the ball incomplete on consecutive passes. Tactical mistake. And I thought that tactically they had played the right game for them, meaning soft zone-ish split field coverages, keeping the ball in front, forcing us to do what Huntley did, which is, throw the ball short. And I'm going to be honest with you, like I can't wait to see the film because I suspect that Huntley was just taking the first read. The first thing is there, boom, take it. And there's multiple people. I forget who it was last year in a Twitter space or something. It might have been Skeptic Goat said it well, that Huntley is a one-read guy, meaning first read that's there, I'm taking it. And Lamar is a guy who looks downfield and then tries to come back to those checkdowns late. In some cases, that doesn't work out to our benefit, but in some cases it does, where we develop plays downfield. But a tactical mistake by the Broncos, those two passes, really leaving us time. I think it left us a minute more than it would have or should have if they'd got the clock running on that second and long and then third and long. And I'll go to my game notes here in a moment. Offense stunk. Okay, get this out of the way. If I was on the coaching staff, which I've never been anywhere near that and never will, and they went around the room and said, do you think that we should fire our offensive staff? I would vote yes if we have competent replacements for them, or we have some kind of way to move people up the ladder or shuffle things around, or someone else who's available to bring in. I would vote yes, I would. But I'm not going to waste my time and energy on spending 5 minutes ranting and raving about it. I have no control over it. I have control over watching the game and interpreting it the way I interpret it, and then hopefully trying to filter some of the key moments and things I think are worth mentioning to you guys, and then it's a bounce back and forth in the comment section that helps guide me on my content this week. So I would vote yes, because there's a really weird dynamic that happens when Huntley goes in. The game is called different. You can see it on the stats right there. On the right-hand side, 30 of 37 passing, but I think Huntley was 27 of 32, I believe. 8 of 8 on the last drive. Completed his last 13. There's a lot of short passes, right? 2 incompletions that I think were called back, or where we were given first downs or given yards because of penalty. So, could have been 13 of his last 15. But if we don't complete that 3rd and 5 to Andrews, or isn't a defensive pass interference on Surtain, which was an obvious call, then we're in real trouble because it's now 4th and 5. Game's called different when Huntley's in there. I guess it's because he's a one-read guy that takes the first read and throws out of there. It seemed like, on that last drive, we got a little bit of a rhythm going, but I'm not sure how we could recreate it. Huntley, to his credit, was getting the ball out quick, getting it to multiple guys. When you look at the offensive stats, you see a bunch of guys had 4 or 5 or 6 catches for, low yardage. And then certain guys were able to break tackles and make some plays. Isaiah Likely making 2 of them after he went out. All right, who knows if Lamar will play next week in Pittsburgh? Who knows the injury status? It sounds like it's not that bad. It'll be in Pittsburgh. That's going to be a war. That's just going to be a war. One good thing we can fall back on is it's good to know that we have a Tyler Huntley who can compete. Now, the Steelers with TJ Watt, and that's a problem for any quarterback to deal with. And we've got to be better about attacking certain things. I thought we had a great plan up there in Pittsburgh. The first time we played them on the road last year, a lot of short passes. If we don't throw an interception on the first drive, I think we probably win that game. The offense, the big play, and one specific complaint, because I'm still trying to process some of the game mentally for real. The 3rd and 5 to Andrews that I referenced a moment ago, I think it's on the game-winning drive. And we isolated Andrews on the right, and they put Surtain on him. So good for them. Defensive pass interference, obvious call. Why don't we do that more often? What I mean is, I'm going to compare it to a play call that was like 4 or 5 plays later. We had a 3rd and 2, maybe a 3rd and 3, around about the 22 or 24 yard line. Let me pull my game flow notes up. 3rd and 3 from the 19 with 1:13 left, and we run stretch with Kenyon Drake, and we get a yard. In our Discord, a bunch of us said immediately, that's a horrible call. Now, we go QB power read on the next play, and Huntley gets it for 3 yards, so that's great. But in my opinion, that 3rd and 3, let's compare it to that 3rd and 5 where we went at Surtain, who's apparently unanimously agreed upon to be like a top 5 corner in the NFL right now, one-on-one against Andrews. There's multiple things that can happen, on a pass play. You can complete it. You can get sacked. You can throw an interception. It can be incomplete, or you can get a defensive pass interference. In this day and age, with the rules the way they are, in some of these situations like that, 3rd and 3, I feel like we should maybe be throwing the ball a little bit more occasionally. Now, the QB power read stuff works for us. I'm not talking about the 4th and 2 call. I'm talking about the 3rd and 3 call. If we have QB power read in our pocket, and that's something we can execute, which it is, I still think there's more that we can do out of that formation and out of that play being the foundational play number 1, that being the jab. I think there's other plays that can come off of it. In my opinion, the 3rd and 3 call should be a pass play to try to get the first down. The stretch to Drake, their inside linebackers were all over. The Broncos, look, I believe, and I could be way wrong on this, is Singleton the inside linebacker for them? Is he the same guy that played for the Eagles in 2020? I wanted to go back and look, and I should have before I did this reaction video, so forgive me for that. It looks like a different player. I know he's apparently leading them in tackles. He got one unnecessary roughness call or personal foul. I really thought the Broncos could have had 3 today. And I'm not a soft person watching a game who thinks that everything should be called, but I thought there was possibly 3. The one to Likely that looked like maybe it separated his shoulder, I think it was the same guy. I think that one could have been called. In this day and age of the NFL, I grew up watching the NFL in the 90s, okay? So 80s and 90s. So I'm not used to these situations, and I'm not a huge advocate of them. However, that's how the game is officiated a lot of times. In my opinion, that 3rd and 3, we should look at throwing the ball past the line to gain, past the 3-yard line to gain, because we had attacked them with short stuff all game. To me, that is a situation, that 3rd and 3, or maybe even 3rd and 4, where we can run snag flat, some short concept that we've been hitting all game. And then if something develops off of that, because now they're playing tighter coverage, then fine. See, because they're playing a lot of loose coverages. They were. It's quarter split field stuff, generally. And they're pattern reading it, and their guys are reacting based on what they see, the route they see, or when the ball was thrown out of the backfield, when they see the ball thrown. But in any case, I reflect on those 2 calls, the 3rd and 5 to Andrews. We went quads to one side to our left, 4 receivers to our left. And then we threw it backside to Andrews, 1-on-1 versus Surtain. And then the 3rd and 3, the stretch to Drake. Compare those 2. I'm not saying the stretch can't work. I get it. We didn't have Edwards in, so we run it with Drake. Understood. But look at the 2 plays in a row thereafter. 4th and 2, we get it on the QB power read. And then the play of the game. I'm going to try to do a quick little video tonight on this. I can't show necessarily all the video, but I can diagram it and maybe show pictures. Huntley finding Drake up the left side. Amazing play. 1st and 10 from the 15. I think it's a 13-yard gain. Drake damn near gets in. Great play by Singleton, the inside linebacker, just to prevent the score. If he's not there pursuing, it's a touchdown. Awesome play by Huntley and Drake. Drake is covered initially, and then Huntley is able to move out to the left. And Drake goes up the field. That's just scramble drill. Actually, there was multiple scramble drills earlier in the game. One of them, actually maybe 2 of them, receivers were able to go back to the numbers, which is like a landmark. Okay, it's a landmark in those situations. Some guys come back to the ball. Some guys go to the sideline. In this case, Drake went up the left sideline. Huntley found him. Beautiful play. And then we punch it in on a great play call. A great play call. We go empty on 1st and goal. That's the key for me. Now, I know it's short time in terms of how much is left on the clock. About 30 seconds, something like that, if memory serves. But I like the play call going empty with motion. So motioning the running back out, leading the defense to believe, okay, this is going to be a pass or maybe a shovel. And then it looked like to me we ran split zone with the quarterback. That's what it looked like to me. You don't normally run split zone with the quarterback. You normally need a mesh between the quarterback and the running back. So interesting call, gets us up 10-9. And then a couple of things on the I don't think people are going to agree with this. This is a thought that I have, we've done it before, but not this level of football, clearly. In certain situations, I would be an advocate for rushing less than 4. And when I say less than 4, I mean 2. Or even, now we did this on the 1st and 10 from the 49, and Wilson was able to scramble for 4 yards to set up the 63-yard attempt, which was short, eerily similar to last week. I mean, I don't know that we deserve to win both of these games, the Jags and the Broncos game. And you look at it, we could have won both. We could have lost both. I feel like that's just the nature of the NFL now. I feel like that's just what the NFL wants. They want you to be watching for the entire game. So I kind of digress there. I'm going to have a final point about a couple of players, and then we'll get into some of the analysis of possessions. I'm not going to show a possession by play-by-play breakdown. I think I'm going to do a follow-up video for that. Look, two guys I want to mention. You could talk about Lamar all night. You could talk about Huntley and how he played all night. Two guys I want to mention are Kevon Seymour and Daryl Worley. And we're 8-4, and it doesn't feel good. It's the weirdest 8-4 feeling. Well, maybe the second weirdest after last year, right? Those two guys, to me, there still is the fabric of Ravens football and what Ravens football is. I'm not talking about running the football, defense, well, those things. I'm talking about playing with heart, playing with determination and guts. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Hasn't Daryl Worley been cut or released, re-signed, practice squad, back on the active roster 20 times this year? Maybe it's not 20. I don't know. I don't pretend to know the whole number. And then Seymour, I'm not sure about. But I want to talk about the kickoff after we go up 10-9. And it's film study worthy for me. I want this channel to be something that tries to recognize the guys that show tremendous effort and heart. And I feel like Worley's story for this year, he may not make a single play, that some people would say is, moves the needle, that BS saying. He may not ever make a single play, but I think he had 2 special teams tackles today. One of them was a really good one on a punt, if I remember correct. And then I thought Seymour's play on the kickoff, which was a brilliant tactical decision by us to kick it short, and I think it took the clock from 28 seconds to 23. So really, at that point, I think that limits you to 2 plays generally, although they were able to squeeze out 3 because I think they had timeouts, but I could be wrong. I think Denver had 2 timeouts, but I might be wrong there. Seymour gets down the field and tackles the guy on the 18-yard line, so inside the 20. So great tactical decision, ran 5 seconds off the clock. And I also want to recognize Hamilton on that play. He had gotten hurt earlier in the game, and he's a great special teams guy. At some point, Hamilton's just going to be off all special teams. He just is, right? Probably should happen soon. But he's just so good there. He's the guy who ensures that the receiver or the kick returner, can't get outside. Funnels him back inside to Seymour, who makes the tackle. It's a great play. Saved us 5 seconds, saved us yards. Underrated play, I think, in the context of this game. And I just wanted to bring a little bit of focus and attention to it. There's no reason why we can't all be negative. I mean, and we are. I was pretty pissed. It probably took me 10 minutes after the game was over to even realize that we actually did win. I shared on Twitter, I don't know how old you guys are or how familiar you are, the great line or speech that Rosie Perez gives in the movie White Men Can't Jump. She says, sometimes when you win, you actually lose, and sometimes when you lose, you actually win, and sometimes when you win or lose, you actually tie. This has that feeling for me in that, yeah, it's a win, and it counts. And given the fact that we blew 4 games earlier this year, so we'll take it. We won't not take the win. We'll take it. But it feels very weird, nonetheless. All right, let's talk about some possessions that I thought were important, and we'll start at the end. The game winner, 91 yards, unbelievable. 1st and 10 from the -9. I think that's what a Circe is a gift that you didn't expect to give. I might have spelled it wrong. I don't even know where I got the reference from or what culture it is that called it a Circe. I think it's like South Carolina or North Carolina, like a coastal saying, but I could be wrong. Huntley with a bunch of short passes. We actually did try to run twice. Stretched was not successful against them. And this goes back to my frustration with the 3rd and 3 call on the 19. As we've worked our way down there, it's a minute and 13 left, and we run stretch with Drake. Okay, rewind. 3rd play of that same possession, guys. If you want to complain about Greg Roman and our play calls, I'm giving you specific ammunition here, not in generalities, because a lot of people speak in generalities about that issue and others, and they're not able to whittle it down or filter it down. Here's one. 10 plays earlier than the 3rd and 3 stretch play to Drake to the right that only got 1 yard. So basically forcing our hand on the 4th and 2. We didn't throw the ball past the line to gain. 10 plays earlier, maybe 11 plays earlier, if I'm counting correct. We had a 3rd and 2 from our own 17, and we ran with Edwards to the right. I think it was stretch, but I might be wrong. It wasn't stretch. It was a lead play, so my apologies there. And we only got 1 yard. We had to go for it on the 4th and 1. Andrews doesn't get the first down on his first effort. Second effort, slid to the left and got it. I mean, that's Ravens football. That's Ravens football. It's not fun. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to be losing to a 3-8 or now 3-9 Broncos team at home on national TV or regional TV, whatever. But I'm giving you specific ammunition. Those are the first one, the 3rd and 2, the Edwards run that only gets a yard from our own 17. Okay, bad decision. How horrible is it then to do that 10 or 11 plays later, do the same damn thing? You know what I'm saying? So, all right, then we get a short completion to Prochet, and the inside linebacker blitz is just clean through the B gap on our right, where it ends up being incomplete to Hill. Finally, they called the helmet contact on the slant to Andrews, which was, again, I thought that was the 3rd time that someone on the Broncos defense had done that. Look, they hit hard. They play fast. They're young and they're fast. I said that in the preview video. A completion to Hill along the right sideline was huge on a 2nd and 9. All these plays are short. I wish I had shown it to you guys now. Forgive me for not doing that. Normally I do. Here's the gains on that final drive. 4, 3, 1, 6, 0, 7, and then the 15, plus the 15 for the helmet-to-helmet contact. 1, 6, and then the DPI, which I think was a 9-yard gain. 0, 11, 3, 4, 1. Then the big play to Drake on the improv. And then the 2-yard touchdown run by Tyler Huntley. Another play that I thought was huge, even though, it may not get talked about a lot, is likely being injured in the game. I think he possibly had a separated shoulder or something like that. Coming back in, I thought he made 2 catches in the 4th quarter. This one was a 2nd and 10 with a little less than 2 minutes left. And we complete it to him on the left hash, and I think he jukes a linebacker and gains 11 to get the first down. I thought that was huge. Huntley scrambles for 3. We have the I thought this was a nice play call. A 2nd and 7 from the 23 with about a minute 20 left. We ran a screen to, I don't want to say screen. It's a check down to Drake, but Ricard appears to be like a lead blocker out in front, almost intentionally. I thought that was an interesting play. And then the 3rd and 3, stretch to Drake. And then QB power read on 4th and 2 to Huntley. He gets it. Amazing performance by Tyler Huntley. Going in reverse by possessions. Have to talk about this one. I said in my preview video that I thought the opportunity was there for a trick play, and the Ravens thought the same thing. Now, having said that, this was a terrible time for a trick play. We wouldn't have needed the heroics on the final drive if we didn't waste our ninth possession. I believe it was our 9th possession. Late 3rd quarter, I could be wrong there. I think it's late 3rd quarter. We get the ball on our own 22. Huntley scrambles for 14. He completes one to Robinson versus Surtain. I think Patrick Surtain is a really good football player. I was not completely impressed with him. I was not. It's not like I saw somebody out there who was just going to shut people down completely. Would you take him on our team? Absolutely, right? But I thought Robinson competed and did a nice job. I would like to see Demarcus Robinson protect the ball a little more. All right, so this possession gets us from our own 22, slowly, after that 10-yard pass to Robinson, 3-yard gain, 2, 3, 3, another 10-yard gain to Robinson, I think matched up against Surtain again. Even it's a snag concept, so an angled hook. Actually, I don't think this one was. Got 10 yards. Drake runs for 3, and then the trick play to Prochet. Look, physically it was a good throw. The actual throw was a good throw, but it was late. Prochet waited late, and I don't think you're going to throw that where he's trying to throw it. I think you're going to throw it, and Drake's going to catch it around like the 7. It's got to be thrown quick, in my opinion. And to me, this looked like a play that was installed this week. You let me know what you think. This does not look like a play that we've had installed for 2 months. and we've been running and it's smooth. To me, this just the looks of it, the timing of it, the way the players reacted. Now, I will say this: we had put Prochet in the backfield 2 times previously earlier in the game. So sometimes you do that, and he motioned out, I think, on both occasions. Sometimes you do that to kind of set the stage for the defense, get it normalized, get them used to seeing someone in a new position. Nonetheless, the throw is a little late, and he pats the football before he throws. Look at it on Twitter. He pats the football like at the 4 or 5 second mark of the play. I'm talking about the individual play that someone shared on Twitter. And that makes the throw even later. Third problem with it is the throw is too far in from the sideline. I feel like it's too close to the middle of the field. It's not near the middle of the field. If you were to extend the numbers, I feel like the throw is near the bottom of the numbers. So like 6, 7, 8 yards in from the sideline, something like that. To me, the way that I've seen it taught, not that particular play, but certain trick plays, is you're going to throw it near the sideline so that we either catch it. If he's wide open, then you just throw the damn thing. But if not, you're going to throw it near the sideline. Force the defense to make an unbelievable play along the sideline, or you can just throw the damn thing away. Pretty poor decision, obviously, by Prochet, a guy who doesn't read coverages and stuff like that. So I think the timing of it tells me that was installed on Wednesday. And, I'll never know, obviously. So going backwards by possession, we just had nothing going prior to that. Neither did the Broncos. I'm rewinding here, 3 and out. The interception by Huntley in the flats to Simmons was horrible. It was a terrible decision by Huntley, but we're not protecting the quarterback there. They've got these wide nines, rush guys, rushing off the edge from the right and the left. And I don't even know. I think we left the running back to block one of the edge players. I could be wrong there. And it's a horrible decision by Huntley to throw the ball out in the flats. 2 of the easiest interceptions you'll ever see. And it's unfortunate because on the 8th possession, we had a 13-yard completion to Duve on a fantastic play. I think it was a switch release. Switch releases did work against this team. I'm talking about like trips and like number 2 going vertical and number 3 going out, or number 2 running a curl in and number 3 running it out. Those things were there, and I thought we completed 2 to Andrews and 1 to Duve on the day. Then we ran counter windback without Ricard on the field. Talking about our 8th possession. So we had a 13-yard catch by Duve, and then a 12-yard run. I think it was Drake. So we're sitting at our own 40, 1st and 10, early third quarter, I think. Mid-third quarter, maybe. Interception by Simmons in the right flats. Horrible decision by Huntley. Just terrible. And then that's how the Broncos were able to get a field goal. JPP made 2 amazing plays to hold them basically from getting maybe a 13-3 lead, to hold them to only getting a 9-3 lead. I thought JPP played really well today. Going in reverse, I'm going to go back to the first half and go over some of my notes now. And some of these are wrong, to be honest with you. Looking back on it now and how the game ended. All right. Their first drive was 11 plays, and it looked ominous from the beginning because multiple concepts they were running was working. It's not like only one concept was working. Our first possession, we got nothing established. Andrews was possibly open on the 3rd and 5. The throw was low, but we didn't get a replay, and that's the thing. CBS really sucks from a broadcast perspective. We didn't get a replay to say, hey, the reason why this throw was low is because Lamar was trying to protect Andrews, which he does often. So we couldn't tell. So it was a 3 and out. Broncos' second possession, nothing. Matabike made a hell of a play on a 3rd and 1 to stop him for no gain. Our second possession, I wrote down, we're holding on to the football, waiting for something to develop down the field, and we need quicker throws. And I think that proved to be true as we were able to look at the Broncos' coverages over the course of the game. They were playing softer coverages. Nobody got anything going at all. Broncos' 4th possession, 3rd possession, punt. 4th possession, punt. Our 4th possession, we're able to get, a couple of good things going. I thought we missed. I thought Deshaun Jackson was open on the pump fake and go up the right sideline against Surtain, but we'll have to see it on the all-22 view. But on this 4th possession, we had a 22-yard gain to Andrews. Andrews. Couple of short completions, one to Robinson. Due for a sweep for 10. Deshaun Jackson with a catch. He looks good. Deshaun Jackson looks good to me. I understand they don't want to use him, too much, but he looks like he can contribute. We had a 3rd and 9. Huntley got hit hard on a scramble. We ended up having to settle for a field goal. We were just so off balance offensively. Like I said, if people wanted to, do a referendum vote, and ask me my vote, I've seen things like that, but not about people getting fired as coaches. But I've seen things like that about tactical decisions in meetings. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? A couple of things I did notice. We wrong-armed twice today out of 11 personnel, which is kind of necessary sometimes out of 11 personnel, where you have 7 gaps and only 6 people to defend them. We wrong-armed twice, which is surprising. We have not done that. One of them was by JPP. I don't know who the other one was by. I thought Jerry Jeudy played well. He had a 40-yard catch. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If it wasn't 40 yards, the tight end played extremely well. I mean, extremely well. I was impressed. Dulcich, I think. Very impressive to see him and Likely, 2 rookies, playing like that. End of the first half was disappointing. I know people talked about, Deshaun Jackson apparently not hustling back to the huddle or back to the line to spike it. I understand, but if I remember correct, the refs are trying to spot the ball with like 11 seconds. So the ref has the ball in his hand somewhere around 10, 11 second mark, and I might be wrong on that. Great throw, great catch by Andrews. It's difficult to get the ball spotted in that situation by the refs. It just is. I don't know where you fall on it. I've always said this. Being a high school coach, I prefer the high school and college system whereby the clock is stopped until the ball is spotted. I just prefer that system, but I understand why the NFL maintains doing it in their manner. So the Broncos held a 6-3 lead at the half. Some of my notes: smart play by the Broncos linebackers to grab Andrews and not let go, and not let him get up and get the ball spotted. And apparently we didn't have guys hustling back. Look, to be honest with you, it's a low % chance that we're going to get the ball spiked anyway. We put ourselves in that situation offensively by not getting more points to where that actually kind of mattered. And it did matter. It would have been great to get a throw near the sideline, right? But the Broncos were probably taking that away. I can't know that right now because of the broadcast angle. Some of my notes from halftime. It looked like the Ravens went more spread formations and 3-step drop with Huntley. Short passes to Robinson, left side, a couple of design plays to Duve, quick completions to Andrews. Lamar's injury, looms large, obviously, but the play calling seemed to be different once Lamar went out. I do think Lamar, as I alluded to earlier, he does tend to read downfield first and then low, which is, that's typical. And Huntley is a guy who's just going to take what the defense gives him. That bears out in the stats, being 27 of 32 for only like 186 or something like that. So really low yards per pass. And my notes said at halftime, you can't have things like this happen where you waste opportunities like the end of the second quarter. You can't do that and win playoff games. You just can't. And at halftime, I put, this looks like a difficult game to win. Very similar to the Bears game last year. And I will mention this will, if other content creators take this idea and run with it, that's fine. This seems to be a pattern, the same part of the year from 2021 and 2022, where the offense gets stale, has difficulty producing. It seems like we're better earlier in the year, kind of hit a crescendo week 4, 5, 6. Now I know that that doesn't totally work with 2022 data in terms of points per game, but I'm more so talking about points per game, yards per play, first downs per game, third down efficiency. Me personally, I want to go back and see. I want to go back to look at 2020. It seems as if there is a pattern of us becoming less efficient certain part of the year. Now, last year we did have situations where we scored 30 points at home against the Packers. We had a chance to win the Rams game, obviously. So I don't know, if we'll follow the pattern and we'll get a little bit of an uptick here. Second home game in a row where the offense has done nothing. That's kind of difficult to just pass off. I know Harbaugh was excited about the win, and you're a competitor, so I get it. But it's the second home game in a row where the offense has done nothing. You can understand why people are pissed off. The defense had trouble matching up with Dulcich. for whatever reason. Not sure what some of the coverages were, what happened. We struggled, to cover him on deep stuff. And I think that other teams are going to look at certain formations and say, hey, we're going to attack the Ravens this way. Opening the third quarter, our 7th possession, it was pretty obvious, I thought, what was coming on a 3rd and 3 to run QB power right. Now, we ran that later on a 4th down, and we got it. So, hey, fine. But running it in this 7th possession early in the third quarter, I put it on Twitter, we ran it into the boundary. And so when Duve gets kind of stacked up, there's not anywhere for him to go. There's no leverage for him. There's no space for him to try to juke someone, which he's pretty good at. He gets tackled by 3 people, really hard hit on that 3rd and 3. And I feel like sometimes running plays into the boundary. I talked about this after the Bills game, and there were some people who came on the channel and said, I was, I don't know what the word is, I was protecting Lamar. And then there's people who say I do the exact opposite sometimes. But that 4th and goal play against the Bills, I didn't like that it was run to the boundary. I didn't think it was enough room for Duve to run onto the football if we throw it. And absent me drawing a diagram, I don't want to describe it. But in my opinion, there's been some situations like that. Again, I'm being real specific about the offensive complaints. It's not that it's a bad play call. It's not that it isn't a concept that I really like. I think our QB power is damn near unstoppable. Our QB power read is damn near unstoppable sometimes. That's why we use it in those situations. I really like it when we use it on like 2nd and 10, for real. I like it when we use QB power read on 2nd and 10 and we surprise people with it, because then that's when Lamar, or even Huntley, he's got the athleticism, just gashes people for like 14 or 16. But this play call I'm talking about, first possession of the third quarter, 3rd and 3, we run it into the boundary and we have to punt because there's no space for Duve to do anything. Really, really weird. No way to, just no way for anyone to justify that, in my opinion. I was always a field, and I get it. Like now there's people who attack to the boundary because of the tendency for defenses to set their nickel to the field and defend the field primarily. I get it. I mean, it's been that way since the origin of football, for real. But in this situation, I thought it was a bad call. First play of the first series of the third quarter. Look at the stats for our receiving. A couple of positives. I really like the fact that we're spreading the ball around. And the guys down at the bottom, look at the catches with targets. Deshaun Jackson, 2 catches, 3 targets. Prochet, 2-2. Hill, 2-2. Ricard, 1-1. That was a ball that should have been caught cleanly. He caught it twice. You never want to catch the ball twice. But at least the guys at the bottom that are getting 2 or maybe 3 catches, it appears as if those are the checkdowns. Would you agree? I'm just talking about conceptually here. With the yards per catch for those guys, it appears as if those are the checkdowns, except for, obviously, the 13-yard pass to Drake up the left sideline. That's a film study-worthy play right there for One Play Wednesday or anything. The fact that our backup quarterback and a guy, Drake, who was left for whatever he was left for at this point of his career, they were able to make that play in the 59th minute of an NFL football game. That's what pisses me off sometimes when people call a player trash, or they refer to a player as, and they put him in a box, like a backup quarterback and a running back who would be considered, 3rd string for us if everyone's healthy, just made the play of the game in the 59th minute of an NFL football game. That's exceedingly rare to make a play that's potentially game deciding in the 59th minute. How many people walking around the earth can say that in terms of an NFL game? Not many. And then how many of them are a backup quarterback and a guy who got cut or released however many months ago, maybe 3 months ago, something? And then the last one, again, a little bit of positivity I want to leave you with, is Seymour and Worley again. I want to reference again, the fabric of Ravens football. We certainly should be upset, and we are upset about the way that we won. We look at the Broncos as a team that's beneath us, and you should never do that. But as fans, we naturally do that. We can do that no longer. We've had 3 games in a row against teams that, when we looked at on the schedule, we thought these are wins, while they very easily could have been all losses. The Panthers game at home, we did win. And really, let's be honest with you, we could have scored 23, 24 points against the Panthers. So that's a miss. I misspoke there. That couldn't have been a loss, but it was close for 3 3/4 quarters. Then the last 2 games, we could have easily lost. So I just want to shout out to these guys for making plays on special teams. The heart that was showed by Hamilton, Likely, Somebody else I thought went down with injury, and I don't know who it was, and came back and played. That's the type of guys that I want to focus on. Hopefully Lamar's okay, and we get him playing against Pittsburgh. It was pretty tough to watch him hobble, limp into the locker room like that. Having a guy like Huntley who can come in and get the job done and get you a win in the NFL is exceedingly rare, and we're very blessed to be in that situation. Let me know which film study videos you'd like for me to do first this week. Obviously, Tyler Huntley will be a big one. These two guys will be one as well, to be honest with you. And the way that certain guys played on defense. I thought Roquan Smith played with a lot of force. I thought there was 2 or 3 tackles that he was making the tackle angry. He looked like he wanted to set a tone. I didn't see our outside corners, giving up big plays today. I know that there was a curl route to Judy that was caught where Peters challenged him. It was 2-man. I thought we made some tactical mistakes defensively too that I didn't get into here. Anyway, let me know which film study videos you guys would like for me to start with this week. Appreciate you guys' time. If you really enjoy the content, please consider sharing a link to this video on social media.